Today we have a 2002 Lexus SC430 with a bad power antenna mast. We turn the stereo on and off. The motor does run, but the antenna does not go up and down. We've been to the dealership. Usually you can call it on many Lexus antenna masts, not just the SC. You can order the mast directly from the dealership. In many cases you should call the dealership for the part number, call Toyota, because it's cheaper through Toyota. But it just happens in this case that this mast works only with this car, so you have to go through Lexus. It's like a $70–80 part. We have the mast with the nylon cable. So we're going to start with taking the bolt off the top of the antenna here. Usually we use a small pair of needle nose pliers to fit the grooves. You need to be very careful because if you slip off you can scratch the paint. Now we're going to put that on there and twist this, loosen this nut here. There is a special tool for this, but there's no sense in purchasing probably a $100 special tool in order to get this nut off. We have many removal videos for the car stereos, repair videos, and other antenna mast videos that can be seen on our website at carstereohelp.com. Visit our site if you have questions. Usually we have most information there. It should answer most of your questions. If not, please give us a call. Now we have the bolt is pretty much loose. And we're going to pull this bolt right off as soon as it lets loose. And we're going to pull the bolt off. The bolt happens to come off with the entire antenna mast. Now you can see this antenna mast does not have the white nylon cable. What this means is the cable is wrapped up inside the motor and will have to be removed in order to put the new mast in. Now the trick is to get this nut off of the antenna. There we go. And we have our nut here. We're going to put this to the side because we're going to need it here in a little bit when we put the antenna in. Next we're going to move to our pry tool. Actually, we're going to use a small flathead screwdriver, and at the top of this, pry this little cover off. This is going to give access to a 10mm. And we're going to remove this 10mm bolt here on the side. We're going to do the same with the front here. There's another little cover here in the front, and we're going to pry the edge of this cover off, snap that off, and remove this 10mm bolt. Next, with our pry bar, we're going to pry the edge of this rubber stop here up and off. This is going to give access to a torque screw. This is going to be a T40, and we're going to take our screwdriver and remove this T40 from here. Now this is going to allow us to remove this cover off of the side of the panel, because we're going to get to removing this panel to get access to the motor. We're going to go back to our pry bar, and along the back edge of the car we're going to pry the panel pin off of the side of the vehicle. This takes a little bit of work, sometimes one side and then the other. It's a little panel pin, and that'll be removed. We're going to move up because this panel is one piece and it separates here and comes down and all the way across the front here. We're going to remove this one clip up here in the front. There are two right next to each other, but we want the furthest forward one. And this is kind of difficult with the rear trunk hinge here, and we're going to remove that as well. We're going to go down to the very bottom of the pocket here, pull the edge of the carpet up, and this pull the edge of the carpet up, and we're going to remove these three tabs here along this bottom panel as well. This is going to allow us to lift this side panel up and remove it back out of the panel, up and out of the way. We need this extra play in the side panel in order to get this panel separated. Now we're going to go to the back edge of the car and pry this panel up across the edge of the trunk. It's got several clips on it that release when you pull it up, and we're going to pull this to the side. Now we're going to remove these two clips along the edge of the rear panel here, or actually one clip, and that goes back into the clip side panel we're trying to remove. Now the next part here requires a little, what I call WWF move. You need to wrestle with the side of this panel and release the top edge. And move towards the front and remove the front edge as well. This is going to come up along the plastic and lift this panel up and out away from the side of the car. This is going to allow us some access back here. The fun part is getting this back together. There we go. And that's going to allow us to pull this whole assembly out and swing the bottom pocket around. Now what we're trying to do is get way down here. We have the power antenna motor assembly. We've got the bolt out of the top, and there is one 10 millimeter bolt way back here in the back that we need to remove. Actually, we're going to put the 10 millimeter on a ratchet so we can get down here and get a little bit more torque on this bolt. And once you get this bolt a little bit loose, you can do it with your fingers. Okay. Now we've got the nut coming off the back that's securing the antenna motor assembly, comes off. And we're going to push the antenna towards the fender so that the bolt will come through the opening. And this will allow us to bring it out around the edge. Pull it down a little bit. This went a lot easier last time I did this last week. There we go, and we're going to pull it down. It's going to release out of the top notch. We're going to push on this trigger on the antenna here. Push that down in, and that will release the connector that's connected to the motor assembly. Now we also have at the bottom of the antenna mass, which has already come off, is a rubber drain hose that goes onto a drain down here at the bottom. Now we're going to pull this out a little further and get to this second connector right here. It also has a trigger on it. We're going to push down and release the connector. Now what we have left is the antenna connection. That is, I'm going to spin the antenna motor assembly around, which is right here, the black mast, or the black cable that goes to the antenna. So we're going to pull that down. And that just slides off. This is the one that gives you all your reception. This connector slides right onto here. Now this is going to allow us to remove the entire motor assembly.